Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.co's Daily Brief. Hey, Grim. Hi, buddy. Nice to see you. This is Brian reporting in. I'm the roving reporter. All right, this is Brian reporting in from Munich, Germany, right? Is that it? There's an EU currency here. Oh, Jesus, everything's very expensive, but sure having a lot of time. We got Frank Sittens, my left and right co-hosts reporting in, helping me report from the field. What was her name again?
What?
What was her name?
Frank.
No, her.
Which one?
At the beach. What was it? Italian lady. Oh, just an incredible voice. The voice, it stopped Frank.
I said Elvira.
Oh, we never did find out her name?
No.
Oh,
No.
anyway, so we were doing in-depth field research. What was the name of the lake?
Amazé.
Lake Amazé, for anybody who's in Europe who knows what we're doing. And it was intensive work, intensive field research, and we were finding out what will make Italian ladies smile, right? Hey, Tom. Tom, you get any sleep since the last time I saw you? That guy, I swear, he literally is the party animal of Europe so far. Mind you, I think Alex over in Vienna is going to give him a run for our money. I've been telling everybody on this trip that this time next year, everybody has to come to Vancouver. And I can't wait to put Alex and guys like Raph and Tom all in the room together. Oh, Vancouver isn't going to know what's going to hit it. Stopped. Yeah, that was great. All right, so I've been very busy, like I said, doing field research with Italian ladies on my face. Whoops, sorry, I didn't say that. And I haven't been watching the market too closely, so I'm going to put myself on mute. Great to see everybody, and of course, I still got another week of reporting from the field. So we just wanted to get back and check in. As you can see, I got my bodyguard on the left and the right, keeping me honest here in Europe, and having a great old time, and lots of video. And if Julian's around, yes, we still have the GoPro, and yes, we're doing lots of trader interviews. So we're gonna have tons of content for the movie when we get back. So I'm gonna hand it off to Alex or Thomas, or whoever. We'll put ourselves on mute, and let's listen to what you guys have to say. All right, I'm done. This is Brian checking out from the fields of, what am I? Am I in the jungles of Munich? And back to you at headquarters.
Awesome. Good to hear you survived the heat so far.
Oh, I know. It's been nuts, eh?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So, Thomas, you want to take it from here, or?
Yeah, let's get this going. It's nice to hear from Brian, even a grand old time. Kind of funny to hear him talking about those ladies out in Italy. I hope he had an awesome time there. But if you do want to give us a report on that in detail, we're more than happy to hear about that. Anyway, let's jump in here and see what's going on.
I don't kiss and tell. Sorry.
Oh, you're one of those. That's all right. That's all right.
Mama?
All right, what's that?
למגבת, אמרתי לך מה הצאתי.
I think we got someone that needs to put themselves on mute over there, but that's all right. Okay, so let's jump in and see what we've got here. So first things first, we've got Warren Buffett talking about his favorite metric, suggesting serious pain. I'm wondering if this is the same metric that we covered on Friday after the Jesse Felder interview, where he talks about Warren Buffett's kind of yardstick for measuring performance using the 10-year note. And that's interesting because, you know, we keep seeing this pattern coming in on the S&P and the Dow. And you see things like S&P, NASDAQ climb, but trade worries weigh on the Dow. And you see things like Hindenburg signals coming in. So we've got kind of all the ingredients here for a topping pattern to come in. We just need to wait for that top to actually happen. So here we've got a chart of the Dow, and we're pushing 25,480. And we still haven't quite rolled over. I mean, this candle here from Thursday looks like it put in our half top, but then the market continued to move higher. So we still have this bearish divergence working. We've got Willie overbought. Really, we're just waiting for that market structure to come in, and then I think we can fire off on all cylinders. Same thing on the S&P. It looks like my ES1 has not been moved back since on Friday. So let's bring out these futures charts here. So I like to use these E-minis. And this is interesting here because it looks like the S&P is trying to break above the old highs of 28.50 and a quarter, and we're sitting a couple ticks away from there. So if this thing does break to new highs, the S&P is going to invalidate our market structure top up here. It's probably going to test the top of this range, which we're not too surprised about on the S&P. What I would be surprised to see is the Dow popping its top off and making new highs, but we don't see that happening just yet. There's so much overhead resistance. We're in a reload zone. There's gaps up here. See those filled before we do roll over, but this is going to be a complicated topping pattern over the course of the rest of the summer here. NASDAQ theories are that this NASDAQ is kind of leading our market, and NASDAQ hasn't really broken to new highs. If anything, this pattern here invalidated any market structure tops that we could get. So maybe this is the pattern that we're seeing come in here, where if we do get a topping pattern, it'll just look something like this. And, boom, this is the messiest M you've probably ever seen, but you get the point. So that's what we're waiting here for on these broader markets. I did say that I was looking to buy the dog, but it seems these vineyards like to not have service at them. So it was really difficult to do any kind of trading, especially when everyone around you is getting wasted and talking. So no purchasing of stocks happened to me while I was drunk. So that's probably a good thing. But if we take a look here at the dog, as far as any kind of reload zones, that you want to buy, and you're thinking that this is our bottom, which again is probably a little early. If you want to see some market structure action come in here, and see the potential W working from this being our neckline here at around 57.80. A break above that level will kind of set in our perfect trade in motion, where I see divergence, market structure, and we'd probably get some OBV breakout. But in order for this to go up, we need to see the Dow go down, because this is, of course, the dog, the inverse. This is the short of the Dow 30. So that's that would be our inverse play if you're buying VIX calls, which interestingly are also making new lows against the bottoms of these markets. So any kind of shots that I'm taking around here would probably be best served in this area. This tail is getting eaten. It's interesting to see that yesterday's tail down there got eaten up quite quickly and pushed back up to as close as the 12 handle as it could get. Willie is back in oversold conditions, I believe. Let's make this full screen and see. Yeah, so he came out a little bit, and now he's back in there. We should take a quick look again at our VIX calls, just to see if we've got anything to work with. But it's been tough on this one. I think everyone's kind of crowding this trade, using it as insurance, because most of the fund managers and the big names here are kind of expecting a rollover. And you know what happens when everyone's expecting something. The market likes to make a fool out of everyone who's looking for. Let's take a look here, see what the VIX looks like. September. Don't really want to do September. I'll start with October and see if that makes any sense for us. So I'm still hunting the $14 calls with an 18.56 strike price. So that's roughly, what would they say, $2.28 is what I'm trying to look for on the $14 calls. So maybe I've got something here. And scroll down. So this is the October 17th expiration, and $14 calls are still too expensive for me at $2.55. So same problem as I had yesterday. I don't really want to be buying the September calls. And if I go past October into November, I just, I don't see a way to get to $2. So I'm going to have to the time premium that I have to pay kind of makes this way too expensive to be getting into. So you can see here, 255 to 280 not the level that I want. So that kind of makes it difficult to buy the VIX, unfortunately. For me, I said I was probably going to stick my neck out, but I'm probably going to wait. I think this might actually give me an opportunity to get in cheaper, but we'll see. A couple other names that we've been staring at. Twitter looks like it's just floundering around in the same areas. Facebook, let's see if that's even been interested in making a move. Market seems really quiet this morning. Doesn't seem like much has been going on here. Yeah, Facebook's decided to start coming out of bouncing off of 70.2. And I mean, boy, this is like a perfect gap tag right in here. Didn't completely fill in this gap as much as I'd like to have seen. But yeah, so this is rallying off of this little market structure W here and coming into 13 EMA acting as resistance. So Facebook, if you were thinking about getting it on the long side, I think you probably needed to be buying right around here for a counter trend rally. And at this point, I mean, this is something that I'd be hunting for a counter short position in on this again. So let's see where we could see this rally kind of end on its, get stopped in its tracks. And it looks like 61.8 is right around $200. Reload zone is between 198 and 207. So that's where I'd be thinking about shorting this thing again, at least hunting my puts and seeing how those look. Those are probably going to be difficult to hunt down here. Wait to get back up in this area before hunting those. So that's a potential idea out there. Let's see if anyone's got any crazy ideas here in the Hangout or in the YouTube. And it looks like we're just listening to Thomas yap. So that's where we're probably going to end broader market. I mean, I didn't see anything crazy developing. I didn't see any news coming out. Grim, are you interested in commenting on your oil bot still, or are you even around? Mr. Grim, are you there? I think Mr. Grimm's busy putting together his butter coffee, so we'll give him a break for now. But yeah, I don't see anything crazy happening as far as anything jumping out here. I don't see any Fed announcements other than the normal stuff. So we've got cranberries are in the crosshairs for Trump tariffs. I don't know of any cranberry futures pricings, but if anyone knows that, we could certainly take a look at that eventually. But I don't think cranberries are traded. So I think which should be our crypto. So anybody want to sing for us this morning? Man, it's a quiet bunch this morning.
Bitcoin, Bitcoin, tastes great. Bitcoin, Bitcoin.
Yes, thank you, whoever that was. All right, so let's take a look. There's a lot of news that's been happening here in the crypto world over the weekend and even on Friday, which kind of got announced around daily brief time on Friday. That was this New York Stock Exchange announcement. So there was a New York Stock Exchange operator called ICE. So you got the Intercontinental Exchange, the operator for these 23 major exchanges, which includes the New York Stock Exchange. So they just announced that they're going to create kind of a cloud-powered by Microsoft regulated ecosystem that's going to partner with people like BCG, Starbucks, and others. So this caught fire and spread around on Twitter really quickly. Is very positive news that people are saying, oh, this is going to bring a great use case to Bitcoin. People are going to be able to buy their coffee at Starbucks, and it's going to be so good for the price, and it's going to rally. And I don't think that happened here for Bitcoin. So this is becoming a wave of kind of good news hitting the market. Not only just this, but there's a few other things that are hitting, which I'll cover shortly. And after we get through this news, we'll be hitting on those technicals. And there just doesn't seem to be any kind of rally coming off of this stuff. And that in itself is a sign. But let's kind of go through and see what's going on here with our Bitcoin. They're offering these kind of future settlement house. So essentially, it's a component of a backed offering. So that's the operator of the New York Stock Exchange. They're making a new company. You know, no surprise that they want to make sure that this is separate, a separate entity, so that they can kind of create this account for their Bitcoin trading and keep it separate, so that they don't have any issues with the lawyers and all that fun nonsense. But essentially, they're working along these companies. They're creating this futures one-day physically delivered Bitcoin contract along with physical warehousing. Now, it looks like this isn't going to happen until a couple months from now in November. And of course, they have to be approved by the CFTC. So while this was good news, it's kind of like a non-event because you're waiting for that approval process to go through. And maybe the reason why the market's not rallying is because of the kind of rejections that we've seen from the Bitcoin ETFs. And there's a lot of skeptical individuals out there that when regulatory bodies are involved in making a decision for something like this, that maybe the chances of approval aren't as high as they'd like to see them. And that's what we're seeing out of this. So I don't really see any kind of information here as to how they plan on doing this. Are they out there buying the Bitcoin right now? What's their physical warehousing like? What kind of security are they planning on doing? Is it kind of like a custodial program? Are they going to be using, you know, Coinbase to house some of these things? I think the details are very much still in the works, but so they're planning on supporting transaction flows in the $270 billion. I guess that's what they're calling our market now. Is that really all it's at? 270 billion. Boy, that's taken off about half in the last month and a half. Anyway, so this is cool news. I think that as far as what it's going to mean, how it's going to impact the market is very much up in the air. But it's good news nonetheless to see more people coming into the space, and especially someone along the lines of the New York Stock Exchange offering these physically delivered contracts, which are much different than the CME and CBOE kind of like paper settlements that we're seeing out of them. So interesting. So this must have been an article that Starbucks had to release in order to clarify what they're planning on doing with their crypto venture. So it says no coffee for X clarifies. So I don't really know why Starbucks is getting involved in this. I think we'll probably find that out as we go forward. Someone's like, yeah, I'm going to go buy coffee with my Bitcoin. It's going to be great. I want to use Bitcoin more and more in my day-to-day life. And this was people that are, you know, diehard Starbucks fans on Twitter, but that doesn't seem to be the case according to them. Whatever, we'll see what happens for this and move on from there. So Bloomberg had a news article that they just released that Goldman's planning on using kind of a crypto or offering a crypto custody offering, which is similar to what Coinbase offers. Details as to how much they plan on holding, as far as how much they're going to allow each customer to hold. Maybe there's a minimum or a fee. Those details are hazy and haven't been released yet, but it's certainly interesting to see that Goldman wants to, I mean, this is not surprising, I guess, be a bank for crypto. I guess we can't be shocked by that. Goldman wants to control the world, and now they're seeing, well, maybe we should probably get in on this crypto thing and get our fair share of the pie here, because if we're a little too late to this thing, we're going to end up losing control of the whole space. And well, I think they are too, you know, we don't want to see any centralization occurring with anyone holding a majority of Bitcoin or even, you know, mining share. But this is kind of the next step that we would have expected. And I almost feel like this isn't new news. You know, Bitcoin or Goldman had acquired Poloniex and Circle. And I think that I remember them saying that they had an offering or planned on offering something like this similarly in the past. So this might just be more kind of folly or more ammo they're trying to fire off into this market. You know, Goldman says that, I think there was another article that they said Bitcoin will never recover from these bottoms. And that's the kind of stuff you want to start seeing getting released, is, you know, the big institutions saying, oh, it's dead, it's never coming back, don't buy it. And meanwhile, behind the scenes, they're most certainly acquiring it and doing their best to get involved in the space as much as possible. So that's our Goldman segment. Let's move to Mt. Gox. We haven't talked about Gox in a while, and this article was given to me in the lounge by, I think it was Curtis. So thanks a lot for passing this on to me. I've kind of been swirled around and put through the ringer with this Mt. Gox debacle. Of course, I have some skin in the game here with this bankruptcy, and I guess we could do a quick overview. Is that, Mt. Gox went into bankruptcy. The trustee was kind of implicated in causing the Bitcoin crash from the high because he was selling off these massive amounts of coins. And I used to have a nice chart with all the arrows and the days in which those sell-offs occurred, and they kind of corresponded really nicely with these big downward movements in the marketplace because allegedly the trustee did not sell on the open market, and he was he claims that he sold over the counter. Many people believe that he did not do that, and I'm on record arguing with Tone Vays during a Philadelphia meetup that the trustee actually did say in one of his releases through the court that he did not sell on the open market, and he went to several OTC markets in order to sell. But Tone says that the Twitter community believes that he did sell on the open market. And well, if you're interested in that, I think there's a link posted in the lounge where you can hear me kind of asking that question live with Tone Vays. But as far as what's going on now, the trustee was kind of petitioned. There was a big movement by the Mt. Gox lawyers for us, the creditors, to switch the exchange from bankruptcy into civil rehabilitation, because under the current bankruptcy laws, we would only get the equivalent of $483 per Bitcoin, which was what the value was established back in probably 2014 or 2015 when they decided to peg that value. And we decided, well, we don't only want that, especially because back in January, the price was almost $18,000 or $19,000. And the remaining surplus of that payout to the creditors at $483 per Bitcoin would go to Mark Karpels. And that just doesn't seem fair for that to happen. So we petitioned for the bankruptcy trustee to switch Mt. Gox into civil rehabilitation, which would allow the creditors to receive whatever Bitcoins are left in the account back to the creditors. And that's what seems like it's going to be happening here. So this was approved to switch Mt. Gox out of bankruptcy into civil rehabilitation. So according to court documents, the bankruptcy trustee is no longer the bankruptcy trustee, nor should he be selling any more Bitcoins on the open market. But essentially, we're not, as far as creditors, going to see any Bitcoins until at least summer of next year, according to this article. It seems like the next meeting where they're going to discuss the details of how this is going to go down, how they plan on distributing a lot of these coins, isn't happening until February of 2019. So that's about 6 months from now. We're going to start to find out what the plan is, how they plan on bringing this around, whether or not they, there's some ideas that some investors may be interested in restarting the exchange, buying the whole thing out, and making the creditors completely whole by running the exchange and generating fees for them. I don't think that that's going to happen. I think that at this point, everyone's sick and tired of these games and the lawyer making so much money off of just holding things. And the Japanese court system is notoriously slow for bullying people, and that's kind of what's happening here. So this thing could just get over with, and all these coins, it's roughly 166,000 Bitcoins. If that kind of isn't weighing down on the market, and that kind of corresponds well with our, what are we looking at, 8-month-long bear market, so from about December to next year, and fits in of next year as far as how long we expect bears to last. So this is some interesting developments out of Mt. Gox. They're taking the longest time for this to happen. Next piece of news, and this should be our final segment. If I'm missing anything, please, if there's anything important, feel free to mention it. But Barclays came out. One of their former traders says that Barclays is working on a crypto trading desk, but the bank itself is going to, of course, deny this. We're seeing this happen all over the place. I think before Barclays, it was another British bank that was allegedly working on a trading desk, but they also denied it. So it says that there's a couple people that were hired to create crypto business plans, to launch and manage trading desks. And right, banks want to get into this stuff. We really shouldn't be shocked to see this. What we should be annoyed by is that the banks still won't admit it to the public. And I think that's because they want to keep people from getting in at these levels, because they want to get in at these levels or lower. All right, so that's pretty much our news segment. I think we should start getting into some technicals, see what's going on in the marketplace. And just check in here on our lounge. Looks like Grim says he stepped away. Says he's a pretty good argument that the cash-settled nature of the CME futures is part of what led to the bear market, and if that thesis holds, a Bitcoin-settled ETF should be pretty bullish. Yeah, can't disagree with you on that one. Thomas, would love to get your opinion on a BTC USD Finex weekly chart. All right, we'll get into that shortly. And James wants to know, James says that ETC is to be listed on Coinbase. Yeah, we've kind of, Coinbase keeps teasing everyone. I don't know why this keeps news. ETC on Coinbase was announced a couple months ago. They said that they planned on adding it, but they didn't give it. So it looks okay, so what's changed, they finalized the plans. So maybe we can actually get a hard date out of this article here, because last time they said it was to be listed sometime in the summer. Let's see if they still have that same time frame here. So it looks like they're planning on listing Ethereum Classic, and testing is completed Tuesday, August 7th. So that's tomorrow. And then they'll be accepting inbound transfers. So it looks like their wallets will go live tomorrow. Let's see what's going on in Ethereum Classic for now. Looks like nothing crazy is happening. I mean, this is a weekly chart, so if this does give us a nice weekly W, that's what we want to be hunting, of course, across all these time frames. Daily chart. Let's see what it looks like.
I'm back at my desk. I was just mentioning that Grayscale has an ETC ETF that's over the counter that you can get into on your regular equity plans, ETCG. It's got a huge premium on it, though.
Oh, cool. Let's see what that looks like. $30, isn't it like $17 right now in the US dollar?
Yeah, it's pretty dramatic.
That's crazy. Wow, people are really going into this thing. Even at its low, it never came close to matching the real premium. This definitely has a spread to it.
At one point, it was 300% premium.
Good Lord. That's interesting. So who's piling into this thing? Can we see any of the public records, or who's buying this thing? Are the majority holdings?
This is available to retirement accounts. So just like the GBTC, I think that's going to be where a bunch of funds are coming in. Is we had that big spike. I think was right around that when that article came out, where the guy said, it's a good idea to diversify by adding some crypto into your portfolio. And I think that's about the same time that this went public.
Wow, cool. Yeah, so this thing's coming into a buying zone. If anyone, is wanting to play this from the retirement account perspective,
I just posted the chart if you want to bring it up. It's Ethereum Classic off of Bitfinex, and overlaid on that is the ETCG adjusted, because obviously it's each share is like 0.97 of an ETC, so I had to divide by that to get an equivalent for the so you can kind of see the spread and the structure there.
Wow. So this almost looks like it's following a different path than the cash market, or what do we call it? The crypto market. This yellow is our ETCG, and then the candles are
the other one's more like the spot, right? So
yeah. That's fascinating. Are these inversely correlated? Am I seeing like some inverse correlation happening over the last couple of days, where the underlying cash market's going down, and it looks like the retirement account is going down? So we've got up, down. That's interesting, right? So
yeah, it's like the premiums coming out of it right now, and that could have to do with the fact that ETC is going to become more available to US dollar with Coinbase or that sort of thing. I'm not sure what's driving it, but
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But if this thing loses these lows, what does that really mean? I mean, that people are like, screw it, I want to hold the actual asset and I can just buy that Coinbase through my retirement account. And that would speak volumes in of itself, right? Because if people are led to hold it here and they're like, if I can just do it myself, that means that the type of investments going into this, is there a way of arbitraging this actually?
No, I'm not sure. Not that I'm aware of yet, but I've just started looking into it yesterday. So,
I mean, you're not going to be able to retirement account unless the guys who are the custodians of this thing. So that would be Grayscale. Would that be insider trading if they started kind of, arbitraging the premium in their own offering, or someone else offering an arbitrage opportunity? Because you'd have to buy
I believe the underlying index that they use for the ETCG is actually is a third-party index. I want to say that it's I can't remember the name of the outfit. There's an exchange out from London that does a lot of these like indexes on the back end for different assets, but I can't remember the name of it. If I can think of it, I'll mention it later. But
okay, cool.
That's choice. That's an Ethereum. That's ETC ETF that's trading there.
Yeah,
that's
it's through Grayscale. Yeah,
And this
same people
thing's
that do
been trading
GBTC.
since the middle of May.
Yeah, apparently.
How the hell? We didn't even know that. That's freaky.
I was looking at the Grayscale products because they also have they aren't listed on here. They aren't listed on OTC markets broadly yet, but they have one for Ripple, of course, and LTC and a few other
Wow.
cryptos as well that are coming.
That's good information. I bet you most people in crypto don't even know that thing's trading.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that's the kind of stuff that we call value. And
the thing that's nice about these ETFs too is how they handle with Grayscale, how they handle forks. So basically, they take the coins they get from the fork, they sell them on the open market, and they distribute that as dividends to the holders.
Did ETC just fork?
No, but when it does, that's something to keep in mind. I mean, I made a ton off of quote unquote dividends from forks last year, right? And the year before. So
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Mr. Silbert wants to fork ETC though. But anyway, that's here nor there. I think it's surprising that there actually was this ETC ETF floating out there and we didn't know about it. So way to go, dude. That's good information.
Yeah, so this is buyable through my platform at least, so I could buy this thing if I were so inclined.
There's a big nasty red candle there, eh? Bang. What happened today? Was it for the news?
I don't think so. I think this just looks like, that's why we're talking about whether or not this is an arbitrage situation, because this thing has some serious premium built into it, right? Because if you look at, the US dollar equivalent, for instance, on Trex,
wait, slow down. There's Ethereum ETC versus Bitcoin is doing that?
Yeah.
The daily chart?
Uh-huh.
Damn.
Well, look at this, right? Ethereum, the US dollar, against Tether, this thing is trading at $18.58.
Oh, wow. Yummy. That looks awesome. What the heck's going on there?
That's
the thing. What's the multiple of that ETC ETF? Is that this is starting to look like if there is no ETFs on the broader market and it's just OTC, then those guys start to really screw around and they force people to pay massively high prices. Do you know what the multiple is on this thing, Graham?
It's I know for each share of it represents 0.97 ETC.
0.97. My hunch is that if there is another one that comes on, then that'll have to get closer to 1-to-1, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does really look to me like the premium's unwinding out of it.
Yeah, remember everybody, just be careful with the OTC ETFs. That in itself is highly manipulated.
Yeah.
0.96 now. Ah, interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. So as soon as and is there talk? Has anybody seen talk of like when is it? Is it like the 13th of August or something? A big ETF decision's coming down the pike or something?
Yeah, it's supposed to be either the end of this week or the end of next week. I think August 17th seems to stand out, or August
Yeah,
11th.
I think it was the 17th.
Well,
Yeah.
I got to tell you that ETC BTC chart or ETC tether chart, that's looking sexalicious. So somebody knows something.
Yeah, these are starting to take off here. But I mean, this is also a product of Coinbase coming out.
Oh, look at that! Oh my goodness! And what's the vol? Oh, look at the OBV. DAV. Where? I wonder where DAV is these days.
Yeah, we got a bit of a Davo coming in there too.
Yeah, and zoom out.
One more higher bullish bar, and we've got volume impetus confirmation there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you know, it's cool. And actually, we were kind of talking about this earlier. I absolutely love this community, and it was kind of interesting. I just had a little brain fart. I thought I lost my cell phone, so I had to leave your conversation about Mr. Buffett looking like the stock market's thinking the stock market's a bit toppy here. But what I absolutely love about this community is we seem to be seeing this stuff nicely. We're reading it really nicely here. You know, we've been talking about stock market topping for a while now. And are you going to hit that reverse button? Hit that reverse button. Do it. There you go. Thank you. Yeah, geez, it looks like it wants to jump up to about 25.5 there, right?
Yep.
And then probably take a nice stab up against maybe 30, 40 bucks in the not too distant future.
This looks like a sexy one.
Darn. Way to go. All right. So anybody who did take that ETC trade, you should be feeling pretty good. I apologize. I just found my cell phone, so I had a little bit of a happy dance there. And then I saw you talking about ETC, and I see that chart. There's more happy dances. So I'll go back on mute and listen to this fantastic service these good people at the Rational Investor are running. Geez, this is really worth my subscription. So I'll be quiet. Sorry, everyone.
There you have the rubber stamp of approval. Yeah, so Brian likes the way the US dollar chart looks like, and I think that I also like the way that this chart looks as well. It looks like this thing's really taken off in the last couple days, put in a real sexy looking market structure bottom. You see this is like an M with a W, and those kind of signals are powerful, especially when you have this kind of formation here. So if this thing does break above probably 50% level, I would guess, on a retrace. It looks like we're going to for sure retest this area here. I mean, I would like to play this on the US dollar side just because that looks a lot more attractive to me than what we could see here, just because, you know, the way that Bitcoin's been behaving, it kind of puts should we say, makes it a little more difficult for things like this to rally. As Bitcoin misbehaves through these months here. So let's take our fibs and see where we would potentially be looking here. And there to there. Do a little reversal. So it looks like we might actually be at Mountain Man already. No, 38.2. All right, so cool. This is our first stop. So if this thing wants to break above this neckline here, that's kind of our last point of resistance going higher, and that'll be our Ray Barbecue test. If this thing really is a bull, it's just going to power through that level and march all the way up into this level here. You can see there's really nothing keeping it below 61.8 from that level. So this has a lot of upward momentum, and just look at the way, you know, things are looking on the internals, same kind of situation. So that's our Ethereum Classic, certainly a cool idea to be chewing on. Oh, how did we even, yeah, so we were looking at the stock proxy, and looks like that has a lot of premium to be coming out of it, if that is to happen here. So cool stuff. So let's jump into Bitcoin. Let's see what's happened. So into the weekend, we had, what happened on Friday? Let's go back in here and take a look. So we've really done almost nothing over the weekend. This is Friday's action, or Saturday's action. It looks like Bitcoin continued to dump through Saturday, and we've hit Mountain Man on Sunday and just kind of paused. So that's where you'd expect this thing to, at least temporarily, from my range trading experience, where I'm looking for that just now to show us where we could see any kind of real-
FYI, Thomas, your audio is cutting in and out. I don't know whether you have those programs running in the background, but I'm not hearing you very well. Just an FYI.
Okay. It's going to be a product of my Wi-Fi. I'm on a hotel Wi-Fi connection, so I apologize.
Hats off to Christian, who I don't know whether, Christian, you're here or not, but let me know whether you got a fill. He shorted the top off of that M, and his target was basically down at Mountain Man here, so he caught it really nicely. Everybody keep an eye on that Christian guy. He is, damn, he drives one hell of a car. Holy moly. I got a very intimate introduction into Teslas this past weekend. And actually, you know what? Everybody needs to understand Christian's #1 goal is we're going to buy 10 Teslas with his profits from his trading, and we're going to put them into a Tesla car carrier, and we're going to drive that around and tease all his buddies. So it's going to be, but you know, Christian, I'm sorry, I guess that didn't go over very well. But Christian had a short working on this trade here off of that beautiful M, and his target was Mountain Man, and it was just perfect. Now the question, I don't know whether he got his fill or not. You know, obviously different exchanges have different levels, but just really well done. It just goes to show these guys are doing the work, and we're all working together. And everybody should look at Thomas's chart and go, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's not illogical what happened. It just made perfect sense. So anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to chime in there, but tout, is that what it? Tout out to Christian. And of course, Thomas, I would imagine you're probably thinking sort of the same thing too. So I'm going to shut the hell up again. Sorry, everyone, and go for it, Thomas.
Did you get to try out insane mode in the Tesla? Did you get thrown into the back?
Oh my God, that thing accelerates so fast. Holy Jesus. And you don't, and the worst part about it is it's totally quiet. There's no noise. You know, it's not like some, you know, testosterone car where a guy's like trying to make up for his lacking manhood. This thing just totally quietly, it just takes off. And it was incredibly because there was like 5 of us in the car, and all in unison, all our heads just jerked backwards. It's just like, holy geez, that was like rocket mode.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. I'll tell you that much, firecrackers.
All right, so I hope my audio is somewhat audible and that you can hear the main gist of what's going on. I apologize. I'm on a hotel Wi-Fi connection, which is giving me an average ping to the router of about 73 milliseconds. So it's not the best connection I've seen here. But if you can still make out what I'm saying, we're bouncing off the Mountain Man now. Now, as far as the daily is concerned for a trade, I think that you're late to the short party. That short came in way back last week. Now, we're probably going to be looking for some counter trend rallies at this point, but on the daily chart, you can't really look at anything counter trend wise other than a potential continuation bearish trade is on pause for now. So what we do is we kind of go down in our time frame and take a look at, you know, the 4-hour had this potential bullish divergence working since we left on Friday, and it never really gave us our signal, right? We were here on Friday looking at this bullish divergence, and it gave us a trade. You know, we were opponent, but we were missing a few others reasons. And sure enough, you're missing those reasons for a trade, and you're testing, you're trying to break out. It's going to keep you honest, right? If you're going to jump the gun here, you're going to get called out. You're caught with your pants off or your shoes off, and you're going to end up getting burned. Happened here. No market structure came in. The market just sold off, and here we are again. We're still running this potential bullish divergence that, you know, this is confirmed at this point. You just need your other reasons, and those other reasons include we need structure. and I don't see that still on the 4 hours. So counter trend rallies still aren't coming in. This market is extremely weak. There are no buyers showing up just yet. Willie is embedded and oversold at this point, and has been kind of oversold for 4 to 5 days now. So we're waiting to see something come in, see the premium come out of these markets here. As far as our spreads trade, I would assume that there is zero premium left in this market. The wind's really been taken out of the sails here on Bitcoin. So as far as spreads are concerned, it looks like we're negative $22. So we're in monetization. So that's not too good, right? So as spreads have, forwards have a lower price than spot, that means that the confidence in this market, or the reigning ideas for traders believing that Bitcoin should have a higher price down the line, is not the prevailing thought here. So that's what we want to be seeing in a market that should be bullish. And that just shows you that we are in a bearish state. And it's no surprise when you look at the chart that this was our distribution, this was our Wyckoff distribution, and any kind of longs we're getting out and filling shorts. And now we have to wait for that same distribution. We have to wait for those signs, wait for the signals that we're having a rebound, and those aren't coming in yet. So as far as going long, there's nothing here on the 4 hour just yet. If you still are in a short, I don't see a reason to be getting out of it. As far as targets are concerned, hopefully you have those painted already, and you're looking for areas lower between our reload zones and on our daily chart. Yeah, even here on the daily, I'm not seeing anything too exciting as far as a long trade. Something picking up the Sunday afternoon, we got a little bit of a breakout, but that got crushed and put in an M back to the downside just as quickly as it tried to break out. So someone's keeping this price, preventing it from breaking out. There's really no bullishness to this market. So as far as targets for your downside, let's just the bottom of this inverse head and shoulders all the way to the top here at 86.80, and no surprise here that the area that you'd be looking to at least reload or end up closing out some of your positions down around the 6,300, 6,000 area. If this market still doesn't show any underlying strength and you're holding a short, I mean, you really need to wait for those signals to really think about reversing. So depending on how your plan looks, you're in a great position right now. So hats off, Christian, and anyone else here who is short through these levels. Really pretty market structure top that you just don't see as cleanly that often anymore, but it's here, and you got your signal, and if you took it, you're sitting pretty. What else did I want to look at? So someone asked me to look at the Finex Bitcoin dollar chart on the weekly, and I know that the weekly's been giving us long signals here for a while. We've got that bullish divergence working on the MACD, and just nothing's really coming in just yet. Do we have market structure here? And you can see here's our divergence from here to here and here to here. So you've got a double divergence, which is confirmed bullishly. But as far as anything else, I mean, this is a pretty big sell-off candle. This is saying, like, not so fast there, buddy. So that's our Mountain Man rejection level. And now we're coming back into another Mountain Man level on Finex. So if you are waiting for your market structure W on the weekly, you're going to have to be pretty patient here. But if your plan tells you you should be trading on the weekly and you should be buying reload zones,
totally. I tell you, this is like deja vu. We've had this trade before. You see the candle body's low, right? Wicks and tails like to be eaten right off 88.6 in the bottom of value there. Looks to me like we got to go right back down to that 6,000 number.
Yeah, that's a good level. This is kind of our tweezer bottom, if you want to call it that, down here.
Yeah, it's a tweezers. Yep.
So that probably needs to be revisited, but
yeah, that isn't even really a clean W, eh?
No, not at all. Right. So even if you switch it to a line chart, it looks like a W on the line chart, but it's just not the nice long double bottom that you want to see out of a market. I mean, the
Well-
line chart is saying it's a W, but
Hey,
If you
do me a
look- if you
favor,
look-
do me a favor there, Thomas, and throw on a horizontal line off of those candle body lows there from the 19th, 20th. And let's take a look at that over the next week or two. My hunch is that's where we're going.
I was
So
going to
you're
say too, if you look at the tweezer bottoms right at the bottom of those tails, that corresponds really tightly if you look left with some candle body bottoms back on the last November.
Oh yeah, totally, eh? Well, look at that profile. If you just leave the chart like that, you can totally see that notch has got to be filled.
Yep.
So it looks like a bit of some FUs coming up here. Be careful, everyone.
yeah, this market just kind of sucked some people in. We got that underlying bullishness. We got some news coming in. And then, well, that's just what happens. Look at this bouncy ball, right? So you got boing, boing, and then 3 boing, and now you're kind of settling down as far as the bounces. So I think that the amplitude and frequency of these bounces is going to start decreasing over time. And as if you want to call
I
it
do like
inertia,
this nice little flush. Like everybody in crypto land believes that the bottom's in. Nice little flush to come in there, run all the stops of all those lows. That even corresponds nicely with that March low. We'll bring in a lot of volume, and we probably should hear CNBC say, okay, Bitcoin's officially dead, and then that can mark some sort of pivot. That's what I'm seeing here, guys. It sure looks like it. If anything, maybe throw in a stink bid right around maybe 5,100 or so. See if you can get a cheap fill.
yeah, that's not a bad idea. I like that idea, right? So any kind of bids down in that area, maybe you get a stab and a quick rebound back up. But I think we're still looking for the capitulation candle, right? Where you just see this horrible carnage coming in, kind of something like this along the lines of what we saw in this. It's like an indecision pin candle here. I want to
Greg,
see.
you know what? Today we went to an old monastery. I'm not really a Catholic by trade, but I lit a candle for Joby today. So there's a doji. Maybe he's trying to talk to us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I want to see that. I want to see that capitulation come in. I want to see the pandemonium. I want to see people just declaring crypto dead. They can't believe it's going to new lows, and all those Twitter trader bros just kind of like, you know what? I need to take a break from this market. And we saw that kind of happening before this bull market, or it's whatever we want to call it, bounce really is what it was. The same thing's probably going to happen here. So it's especially going into this ETF decision, that's probably the straw that'll break this market's back, in that if the ETF does get declined, then there's way more carnage left in this bear market. And bear markets do last for around 18 months. And this thing started back in December. So if you want to count your 18 months, we've got until about roughly May or June of next year before this thing decides to come out of its bear market. So keep your hats on. This is going to be a rough one if we do continue going down, or if that ETF does get rejected. So I think that'll cover our Bitcoin market. You really just need to wait for any kind of sign of reversal. Otherwise, this is a bear market. You have to remember the trend right now is down. All right, should we move to our junior senior names? Litecoin, I mean, the problem is, of course, as Bitcoin continues going down, that's going to drag a lot of these other markets down with it. A lot of these alts are going beyond their 88.6. They're all kind of testing new lows, just flushing people out of the market. So no surprises there. As far as Litecoin is concerned, really no trade here on the 4-hour just yet. Potential divergence kind of, didn't make it above this neckline here. So you didn't have a trade. And even if this does break above the neckline, you want to see a confirmation of this divergence. You want to see your OBV putting in some volume. You want to see some bullish candles. You want to see some structure. There is none of that just yet here on Litecoin. On the hourly chart, kind of deal. This was into our New York kill zone. No, this looks like it's our Asian kill zone, and on East Coast time. So this was roughly Asia Open, and Asia Open was a rally back into this previous fail level, and looks like Asia went short, and then you had London come online. London also went short, and New York is just kind of sitting here for now. So I would assume that most of these players here into the beginning of the week decided to put on short positions, or maybe small ones for that matter. But which is interesting, right? Because if you look at your higher time frames, there's still more to go, but the lower time frames, like the 4 hour, those are kind of interesting. Litecoin isn't oversold yet, but that's kind of what we saw in Bitcoin as far as kill zone trading is concerned. So Litecoin, I don't see a trade there unless you see some structure. Same thing here on Ethereum on the 1 hour. This also did the same thing into our overnight hours. I don't see anything particularly exciting on this chart as far as the 1 hour. So if you're a day trader, you got to sit pretty, other than if you hit this short here, then you're probably pretty happy. And you want to see these lows get taken out for your short to really come in and work. If you're just range trading this range, then of course you have your fib levels, and you're probably taking some profits into this level at this point. But higher time frame shorts, let's see if anything's showing up here. We're longs for that matter, and nothing too exciting, right? This is just kind of sideways. Into the weekend, we dumped a little bit, didn't take out the lows from last Thursday. So this is, on the 4 hour looking a lot like a distribution. Now the question is the distribution to sell off short positions, or is the distribution to continue on the short side? So let's take some cues from what's looking at the long and buys, and it looks like you got some more breakdown in the shorts. Not quite a W here, so nothing to take from the short position. Long positions just kind of waffling around. So for me, this corresponds quite well with what our market structure or our underlying price looks like, is that there's just a lot of sideways. So I don't think there's much to do just yet. This trade may need to continue to develop into our kill zone hours on Tuesday, Wednesday, London time, to see what direction this market really. So for now, I think there's a lot of hands sitting if you're not currently in the market. I think longs are premature, and I think that if you are already short, you're sitting pretty, but you want to start thinking about having your targets kind of solidified and what you want to be doing going forward. This is the breather that you need to make sure you have everything in order, have your orders ready, and be able to take your course of action going forward. Ethereum Bitcoin proxy, I mean, this thing did rally quite well off the bottoms here, but that's a product of Bitcoin price going down. So this is overbought now on the 4 hour. As far as the daily, I don't think it's overbought yet, but you are seeing this kind of bounce into the 13 EMA. Not quite a dead cat bounce. There's a lot more to go up to 38.2, but this is a kind of elongated divergence that we have from here all the way over to our most recent cluster here. And that pop over the neckline is giving us that confirmed divergence. But I think we still need a little nicer structure before we get too excited, because if this does V bottom, well, you know what that means. We're going to end up having to retest the bottom of that value off that rally. So any kind of 38.2 tests, I would expect that those are not going to, market won't stay up in that area for very long before coming back down eventually to retest that V bottom. But interesting, this has broken out more definitively than it has in the past. Something to chew on. This is a 50% level bounce. Yeah, I guess I should probably, right, so are my fibs right here? This is a funky looking fib. I should probably be doing something along those lines. That was pretty. This is back to come back down into that 78.6 eventually. Yeah, so this is what Ethereum Classic looked like crap weeks and weeks ago. It still kind of looks like, or excuse me, Ethereum looked like crap weeks and weeks ago, and it's still not looking too exciting. This is really kind of our first divergence that's coming in since our bounce. But you can see what happened on the last bounce. It didn't quite get back up to those highs. So maybe this is the same bouncy ball, if you can imagine that, as we saw on the Bitcoin chart since December, where maybe this needs to come back up to 38.2 and then come back down again into the 78.6 range. But as Brian has said previously, seasonality for Ethereum is not looking good at this point. This is the season where Ethereum kind of gets its head handed to it, and that's what we're seeing in this market here. So that does it for our tour of our junior senior names. Anyone have anything they want looked at here? I didn't see any requests in the lounge. Let me pop over and see if anyone made use of that in the meantime since I've checked it. I think we go to our, we have to go to the website and then scroll down here. I'm on the wrong place. But if anyone has any requests, feel free to launch those off in the Hangout or in the YouTube. And if no one has anything else, I guess we could probably call it a day. So let's see daily. The site looks really great. I asked if Sjord was going to come in and give us an update. Looks like he's absent for now, so maybe we can get him on later on in the week. But looks like no more requests. This was what I did live, Bitcoin and Cardano, so that's not from anyone else. Looks like Bitcoin Gold David Davis is asking for. Let's take a look at Bitcoin Gold, and I'll take maybe one more if anyone wants something looked at. So Bitcoin Gold, do you want that in terms of Bitcoin or US dollars, Dave Davis? I'll probably look at this one. Oh, so I'm being told Sjord is on vacation. That's right. I remember him saying that. He gets a couple days off. Hopefully he's someplace cool, because it seems like Europe's having a record heat wave. That sounds especially unpleasant in a place that does not believe in air conditioning. So Dave Davis wants in terms of Bitcoin. So let's do our this is the wrong one. Altcoins. So we'll do some BTG, BTC, and we'll look at Binance. Let's see how this one looks. Yeah, so this is kind of trying to pop up a little bit. I don't see any structure. This just kind of looks like a dead cat bounce into this market structure top, which kind of got retested here. So this is a second retest. As far as any divergences, yeah, there's kind of one here. There seems to be a pretty decisive momentum candle coming in. OBV is putting in like the messiest looking W on a high, a very, very steep slope. There is a bit of a buy candle coming in here, but I mean, I can't really advocate being a buyer for myself at these levels. Or at least from this kind of bounce, especially when we're seeing everything else kind of declining. But as far as Nanny nibbles toward the bottom of this range, yeah, I mean, you can see back here we are continuing to make new lows, and that just may be a function of our Binance not having enough data as probably Bittrex would. So let's see if we can get some more info out of Bittrex and maybe make more sense of what this market is doing, because it's probably bouncing off of a zone. So here's our Bitcoin Gold on Bittrex. And I'm going to switch this to a weekly chart, because at this point we really should be hunting these weekly Ws on our altcoin names. And looks like yucky, right? So this is kind of distorted from this big sell-off after it was listed on Trex. Everyone who got handed their Bitcoin Gold after the Bitcoin fork was just like, woo, free money. What the hell is this Bitcoin Gold anyway? Don't care, selling it, and that's that massive sell candle. So are we eating this tail here before we decide to go higher? Yeah, probably that's what's happening here. You can see we're a couple ticks away. No, I mean, if you take 50% off this market, then you're still not quite where the lows of this tail are. So maybe there's more to go just yet. I can't say I want to buy this thing just from the weekly chart. But if you are calling 88.6 or 78.6 off of those highs, I could probably do it off that candle. But my hunch is this is probably around 88.6. So if that's part of your plan and you can include these big sell-off candles as a reason to be nibbling down around the bottoms of these ranges, it's not the worst thing in the world. But should you be risking below this tail here? I mean, if it loses that tail, you really have to ask yourself, well, what the hell is Bitcoin Gold worth anyway? What does it do? Why should it be worth anything? And that's the issue with these nanny nibbles, right? You want to own everything, and that's fine. There are going to be some that fail, but you kind of want to own a whole bunch of them, just because you don't know which one is going to be the one that takes off and really makes you the next brand new Tesla owner. But for something like Bitcoin Gold, I mean, I don't really know what people are using it for, or why anyone would want to hold this thing long term. But nanny nibbles, yeah, that's kind of your spot to be taking your shots, and maybe that's kind of what we're seeing this rally happening for. But again, weekly W's is really what you want to be looking for. Hell, even a daily W I'd take at this point. But other than that, this is just kind of like a bounce. And I do want to check our turtles chart, actually. I know it's a little delayed, but I want to see that this is making the same kind of upward trajectory that we want to see, kind of what's happened in the past, right? Over the last few years, when we have our alt season, this rallied and then went back up. And it seems like the turtles chart is just going back to new lows. So we're at 2.82% buy market percentage, and that's pretty much down around the lows of the market. So that's what you want to see. Now we just need to see this thing take off again in earnest, and it's just not ready to do that. So that's what we're seeing here. A lot of pain and agony in this market. It's kind of what we saw in 2014, 2015, that long slog to the downside. So anyone that's still around, as I'm saying, you are the warriors. You're the ones that are willing to wade through the shit of this market, waiting for that bounce and playing, whatever it is that you're looking for on the counter trend rally. So hats off to anyone that's still around. You're going to survive this bear market pretty well. And anyone that's kind of new to us and asking, when's this thing going to bounce? Well, that's a crystal ball question. We have our zones. If Bitcoin does want to hold the most recent lows, this is really the area you want to see it bouncing, between 6,000 and 6,300. And if we lose this 6,000 area, you can see that there's some more area down below us that would need to be covered. The 88.6 area is 2,700 on our forwards. So if this is anything like an altcoin, that's our next level here. If we lose kind of that $5,000, $4,000 area, wouldn't surprise me to see us down in this area too. And that's, unfortunately, I think some $1,300 numbers were being thrown out there as well. I mean, you just this is the unfortunate part of a bear market, is you have to wait for your signals that we have reversed. And you can't call bottoms too early, because if you do, you can see what happens off of bounces like this. You get that quick bounce, market structure top, and then it's back down again. Now, if this thing really wants to be a bull, I do want to see that sideways consolidation at 61.8, which is our previous breakout area with our market structure bottom. And if that can rally back up to the top, then I think this is just somewhat of a pullback. But if we lose this area here, and more importantly, go down and eat these tails here, that doesn't bode well, in my mind, in my opinion, for this market here. So everything is setting up for that ETF decision, and I think everything hinges on the approval of that ETF. Every single market in this crypto space is now eyeing that SEC decision. A rejection here, I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple $1,000 just taken off this market right after that decision. That would probably be a good day to be sitting at your trading station and ready to kind of go either way, because that is the event. Make no mistake about it. So that's our market brief for today. I hope everyone enjoyed it. I hope you got your kind of opinions worth. You got, yeah. So Jonas is asking when that is. That's going to be the 17th. Oh, Brian's saying the 10th of August. So is it this Friday or next Friday? Let's take a look. SEC decision, BTC ETF. I could have sworn it was the 17th, but let's see. SEC delays Bitcoin decision. No, that's the Winkle-Dinkles decision. So we want to see the VanEck BTC ETF, and then type in VanEck. This is the actual document here being postponed or from VanEck. Hopefully this has a July 24th, or maybe someone has an actual decision. So yeah, so we're kind of expecting them to delay the decision. But as far as when they're going to announce that, I can't seem to find this here. All right, well, it looks like there's 2 dates. Hopefully I can find this in the meantime, but for now, it's either going to be this Friday or the following Friday. Rim and I thought it was next Friday. Alex is saying it's this Friday, so we shall see what happens. But if they do announce that they're delaying it until February, I still think that's going to crush this thing for those next few months here. Yeah, okay, so Alex, you're right. It looks like the SEC decision is expected for August 10th. So there you go. This Friday is the day. So we'll all be watching that one, that's for sure. I'd love to know if they're going to have like a live meeting and we can actually hear what they have to say and what their reasons are for any kind of delay, or even if they just flat out deny or approve the ETF. It's going to be good information. So keep your eyes peeled and get yourself set up. Make sure you've got everything in order for that decision here, because that's going to be one hell of a market day. I think that does it for today. I'm gonna wrap it up. Probably get out of Napa for today. This is my last day here, and I'm gonna head into San Francisco today and through the better part of the week. So I'll be there, and I'll be coming to you live from San Fran tomorrow morning. Hope everyone enjoyed. Play from a position of strength. And that's all from the Bear. I'm signing off. Everyone have a great trading day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow morning.
I'll say a quick goodbye too if we haven't disconnected. Great analysis as always, guys. And we're continuing this European adventure, Thomas West Coast adventure. And if you're on the West Coast, please try and hook up with Thomas. I think that's totally awesome. And all my European buddies, I guess next stop Berlin, right?
Next up, Berlin.
Woo! Anyway, we're signing off from Munich. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Bye.